بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد.
So we are still talking about or last time we stopped when we were talking about the different levels of faith or iman. We talked about 4 different levels. The Muslim or a person can be. Number 1, we said Islam, which is the deen, the religion of Islam, and this is the lowest level. All it takes is for someone to say, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته, and they become Muslim. So this is something that is easy, anybody can do. And that is, inshallah, even though it's easy, it can be the difference between hellfire and Jannah. Once that person says that testimony of faith, even if they don't practice really, inshallah, they will not stay in hellfire forever if we're just assuming a person becomes a Muslim and they don't do anything according to Islam. That's shahada, saying La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, has a lot of value on the Day of Judgment. So this is the first level, which is a Muslim by religion. The deen of that person is Islam. Some countries, they have that on the ID. They have like your ID or your driver license mentions your deen, your religion. So Islam, when you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. Number 2, we said Iman. When Islam enters your heart, you become a believer. You believe in Allah, in His Messenger, in His books, and all the Arkanul Iman we talked about. Now you have become a believer. So believer is the second, momin is the second rank. First rank, Muslim, just took the shahada. Number 2, mu'min, who truly believes. Because somebody might say La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, and which happens a lot for different purposes. Like, for example, and it has happened when a girl, Muslim girl, wants to marry a non-Muslim man. And we know in Islam that is not allowed. So he doesn't care really about becoming a Muslim or not. All he wants is to marry the girl. So what happens is that he takes the shahada. He says, La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. And he doesn't really care. He doesn't know even probably what he just did. So that person is still a Muslim by religion, deen, he's Muslim. But he's not a mu'min. He does not believe in anything still. Because if the marriage doesn't go well, that person leaves Islam again. So this happens all the time. But we normally allow it to happen, hoping that this person, after becoming a Muslim, he will say, maybe I should know more about Islam, and then maybe they become a mu'min, a true believer. The third level, we said IHSAN. IHSAN has different definitions. One of them is, the Prophet ﷺ says, to worship Allah as if you can see Him, knowing that He can see you. So when I have this awareness that Allah is always looking at me, my behavior, my actions will be different from otherwise. Now we added a 4th level, and this is the highest rank, which is called Islam too, but it's different from the first rank. The 4th rank, Islam in the linguistic meaning, which means submission. You are at full submission to Allah, which means if Allah and His Messenger say something, it bypasses your brain. You don't think about it. You just do it. And we gave an example of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. The Prophet ﷺ tells him, do something. He will not ask why. He will not ask for the logic behind it. He will just do it. He does not have to think about it. So this is called Islam. The first Islam is when we are talking about theology, the religion, Islam. The 4th level or the 4th rank is when we are in complete submission to Allah. We have no free will. We basically gave up that free will which Allah gave us, and we aligned our will with His will, which means my free will is Allah's will. What Allah wants me to do, I will do. So this is the highest level. Now a person can be going, and this is the next chapter, talking about a person going up and down between these ranks. Can someone reaches level 4 and then go back to level 1? Actually, it's possible. It's possible. Sometimes your iman is very high. You might even get to level 4. I submit 100% to Allah and His commands. And then next day your iman drops. So this is normal. And one time, Talha ibn Ubaidillah met Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. This is a hadith. When Talha was crying, and Abu Bakr asked him, why are you crying? He said, today I was in the market buying and selling and stuff, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala I wasn't thinking about Allah and Day of Judgment and this. When we sit with the Prophet ﷺ and he reminds us with these things, and we get so inspired and so much khushu', and then when we leave, we go back to this dunya, to this life, worldly life, and forget. So my iman sometimes is very weak. And this is a companion, and Talha is one of the 10 companions promised Jannah. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, that struck him, and he said, and this happens to me too, that our inspiration, our iman goes up and down. And they both started crying. So they went to the Prophet ﷺ, and they told him, and he smiled, and he said, if your iman never goes down, you will be shaking the hands of the angels, which means this is normal for a human being, because again, you are going to be involved in the dunya. You are at work, you're busy, you're focused on different things. You're not going to probably be thinking about Day of Judgment at that point. You're not going to be thinking about khushu' in salah. You're not going to be thinking, you are so focused on other things, which is normal for the iman to go up and down. And of course, other things, anything I do that increases my obedience to Allah, brings me closer to Allah, will give me a higher rank of iman. Versus sins will lower your iman. So that is normal for the human being. What really matters is, wa alaykum assalam, how our life ends on this earth. That's what matters. So we are going up and down throughout these 4 levels: Islam, Iman, Ihsan, and then Islam again. So when I die, I want to die in the 4th rank. That's how I want to die. I wouldn't want to die in the 1st rank. That's what matters, because what matters is how it ends, is not how it starts. It's all about how it ends. And that's why we want to spend more time in rank 4, so we have that chance. Our iman goes up and down because when we are at our jobs, at our work, when we're doing other stuff, our iman drops. If you can keep your iman up even during these business hours, Monday through Friday, business hours, office hours, if your iman is still high, that's ihsan. You enter the next rank. Basically, you don't let the dunya to distract you from being aware that Allah is watching you. So basically, you don't cheat people, you don't lie to people, you don't take people's rights. So that's how it is, basically.
But you're not actively doing any ibadah. You're just doing your business at that moment.
This becomes ibadah. When you are doing business, and you are being aware that Allah is watching me, and my actions are going to be based on this way of thinking, then this is ibadah. You're getting reward for every second, even when you are in your business. There is a story, I can tell you a story here. It's extracurricular activity, but it's okay. One guy from Banu Israel, he was a worshipper. This guy did nothing except that he worshipped Allah day and night. He does not have business, he does not have anything. He just, people donate, give him money so he can survive, but he basically does not, what did I do? Does not go to work or do anything else other than worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one time in the dream, an angel comes to him and he tells him, there is a man in the nearby village, he's higher rank than you. We're talking about ihsan. So he woke up and he was really surprised. I worship Allah day and night. I have dedicated my life to Allah. How is this guy, whoever he is, higher rank than me? So he went to the village to look for that guy, and he found him. He's a shopkeeper. He buys and sells, and the whole day he's standing in his shop. So the guy stands there in the shop, just watches the shopkeeper. What is that special thing he's doing which made him higher rank than him? The whole day passed, and he didn't see anything special. And the shopkeeper got suspicious. What is this guy doing? He's not buying anything. He's just standing there. So he asked him, can I help you? You've been standing here the whole day. You need something? He said, no, but he told him about the dream. He said, okay, I'm going to give you this pot. He gave him a small plate, and he filled it up with water. He said, can you run to the end of the street and come back without dropping a single, just one drop of water? Make sure nothing drops. And the plate is full all the way up. So I want you to go as fast as you can and come back. So the guy said, okay. He went. Of course, he's focused on the plate in his hand, in the way and back. He does not want to drop anything. So when he came back, he asked him, I did it. Can you tell me now, why are you better than me? He said, when you went, you did just this thing I told you to do. Did you remember Allah? He said, no, I was too focused on the water. There's too much focus. I can't remember anything else. He said, you see me the whole day standing in my shop, buying and selling and talking to people, and Allah never leaves my mind and heart. That's why he's higher ranked than him. That is the ihsan. You are at work, you are busy, you're doing all kind of things, but at the same time, Allah is always there. And that is not only something you can say, you know, Allah is always there. That becomes action. Somebody mistreats me. I'm about to mistreat them, and then I remember, no, Allah is watching, I'm not going to do that. So that's what ihsan is all about, inshallah. Now, there is something called al-fasiq al-mulli. Al-fasiq al-mulli. What does that mean? Al-fasiq al-mulli, this term. Now, first, fasiq is mentioned in the Quran, fasiqeen, fasiqun. It comes from when the original word in Arabic, fasaqa, means when something comes out of its shell. Something comes out of its shell. So let's say you have a date and the seed inside. When the seed comes out, or you take the seed out, you say the seed, fasaqat, came out of the shell. So fasiq this is the linguistic meaning of fasiq. The religious meaning of fasiq is someone who is disobedient. Meaning when he is disobeying Allah, he's coming out of the shell of Islam. But he's not a kafir. That's a fasiq. And mulli means he's still in the millah, which means he's still a Muslim. So al-fasiq al-mulli, the definition is a Muslim who disobeyed Allah. And he might have done terrible things, but he's still a Muslim. So we call that fasiq mulli. So he could have done terrible things. And no doubt he will be punished for it if he does not repent by Allah. But he's not a kafir. And no Muslim who says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah will end up in hellfire forever. We said that before. They might end up in hellfire for some time, but then they will come after that. Now, I said in the beginning of the class, today's class is very important because of what I'm about to say now, inshallah. I think this is very important. What makes a Muslim a kafir? There are 6 things, and we should know this, and I think every Muslim should know this, because now why is this such an important thing? How can we call a Muslim who says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah that he's no longer a Muslim? We say al-khuruj min al-millah. He came out of millah, means the nation, the Muslim. He's not a Muslim anymore. Now, why is that very important? Number one, Muslims have rights. The kafir does not. Like, for example, if I see a Muslim, I have to say Salamu alaikum, and he has to say Wa alaikum assalam. This right is for Muslim. If a Muslim dies, I have to go to the janazah. That's the right of a Muslim. If a Muslim gets sick, I have to go and visit them. So these rights, there are certain rights. The blood of the Muslim is haram. And that's why when 2 Muslim groups fight, for them to justify this war, each group calls the other group kafir. Because they know 2 Muslims can't fight. The Prophet ﷺ says when 2 Muslims fight, both of them are in hellfire. So for a Muslim group to fight another Muslim group, they have to call them, they're not a Muslim, they are kafir. And that's why we are fighting them, to justify that war. So how do we And because of this, so many wars happen, by the way, and so many people, basically, you are a Muslim, I hate you for some reason, and I want to kill you. So I have to make you kafir first, and then I kill you after that. So that is a very important topic. Calling a Muslim, and the Prophet ﷺ says in the hadith, if a Muslim calls another Muslim kafir, then فَقَدْ وَجَبَتْ, then it has happened to one of them. Which means if a Muslim calls another Muslim kafir, then he is either right, which is the other Muslim is a kafir, but if he was wrong, then he becomes the kafir. So it's not a small thing. You can't just call people kuffar for no reason. So there are 6 things. They are very, very important for us to know. If a person does any of those 6 things, they don't have to do all of them. Any of those 6 things, that person becomes out of Islam.
Okay, one more question before you go ahead with this. A person I know, he said, as they were talking, and then I heard them saying that one of the guys said, even if Allah comes down and tell me to do this, I won't do it. Does it make him a sinful? Does he has to ask for forgiveness? What is the ruling on that?
Does it make him a kafir? Let's go through the 6 rules and see if one of them apply to him.
Okay.
And that's why I'm saying this is very important. You can apply these 6 rules on any individual or sect, a section, any group of people. If they do one of these 6, any one of these 6 will turn them into non-Muslim, becomes a kafir. Otherwise, it can be something terrible, maybe, and that's the reason why this is important. You might look at someone who probably have done zina and riba and alcohol and every major sin you can think about, but he's still a Muslim. You cannot call him a kafir because he did not do one of these 6 things we're about to say. What are the 6 things if a person does, he becomes non-Muslim? Number 1, someone who curses at Allah or his messenger. And this is an important one. A lady came to see me the other day and she said her husband, every time he gets mad, he curses at Allah and the messenger. That actually, according to many scholars, their marriage is over because she cannot be married to a non-Muslim. So a person who curses at Allah out loud just like that, or the messenger, then they are out of Islam. And this person has to take shahada again, and the marriage has to be done again between those 2. Unfortunately, this is very common in many Muslim countries when the man gets mad and he starts cursing at Allah. So that's a big time thing. You cannot curse at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So number 1, to curse at Allah and his messenger, or to make fun, the same thing, to make fun of Allah. Like this person who said, if Allah comes down and he tells me to do this, I will not do it. That's making fun of Allah. He's not a Muslim anymore. These things are not something you mess with. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger is not something you should mess with. So anybody who curses at Allah and his messenger or makes fun of them, that's not a Muslim anymore. Because see, when you say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, you are going against this shahada when you're cursing at Allah and his messenger or you're making fun of them. The shahada means there is no God worthy of worship except Allah. And then you curse at Allah, your God, by your testimony, you're making fun of your God by your testimony, then that's not acceptable. That's number 1. Number 2, making prostrations, the prostrations of worship to anyone other than Allah. Now, we said in the past, people will make sujood, and that was the sujood of glorification only. Like the brothers of Yusuf made sujood to him, the angels made sujood to Adam. That was not worship, just a way of glorifying him. Now, at our time, sujood is not allowed except to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If somebody goes and he does sujood to a cow, or he does sujood to a statue, or he does sujood to anything other than Allah, then that is, of course, knowing what he's doing. Knowing what he's doing. Number 3, making dua to anyone other than Allah. And dua does not mean request. Like I can come say, brother so-and-so, can you help me? That's not dua. Dua when like you raise your hands and you ask for help, like for example, those who say, Ya Ali, or Ya Hussein. I saw a video which is funny. I think those Shia guys, may Allah give them hidayah, they had a hole and they turned it on fire and they put charcoal and you can see the fire. So they want to prove to everyone that they are right. And they had all the cameras there and they were saying, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Ali, Ya Hussein. And they want to jump in that hole and show everyone that they don't get burned because they said Ya Hussein first. By the way, if you said Ya Allah and you jumped in that hole, most likely you will burn. Even if you said Ya Allah, because Allah didn't tell you to jump in the burning hole. But anyway.
Brother, I have a question.
Yeah.
When it says, is there a hadith that Nabi Karim Sallallahu said Ali is Mawla? The word
No.
Mawla?
No. All these are hadiths made by Shia. They give Ali a higher rank than a human being, and unfortunately sometimes they give him a higher rank than Prophet Muhammad himself, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Most of these hadith are made up.
So there's no hadith which says that he was called Mawla by Nabi Karim Sallallahu.
I only know Mawla Mududi.
No, just someone just told me about, you were talking about it, so somebody just said to me about 2 days back that Nabi Karim Sallallahu said in a hadith that he's Mawla, he's my Mawla and he's your Mawla.
Mawla means either God or servant. And either way will not work for Ali radiallahu anh. He's not God and he's not a servant. So he cannot be.
Okay.
In Arabic, Mawla, ni'mal Mawla wa ni'mal Nasir is Allah.
Yeah.
Urdu, Arabic, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not right. There's no hadith. So anyway, calling someone other than Allah, going back to that video, those guys, they're going around the hole saying, Ya Hussein, and then they jump in it and they all get burned so badly and they're taken to the hospital. No, what are you doing? This is crazy. Ya Hussein, Ya Ali, who told you to do this? Is craziness. They all got burned and they went to the hospital. So this is ridiculous. So you call anyone other than Allah, making actual dua, thinking that he benefits you or harms you, that takes you out of Islam. And again, you can apply these rules to those sects. Number 4, to say this law is better than Allah's law. The man-made law is better than Allah says, وَمَنْ يَحْكُمْ بِغَيْرِ مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ ظَالِمُونَ and kafirun in the end. So it's in the Quran. You can be living in a country which does not apply the Sharia law, which is fine, like here. But you cannot say this law is better than Allah's law. And there are so many Muslims, unfortunately, without knowing. They say the Sharia law is outdated. It's for the old times. It doesn't work at our time. We need man-made laws now. That is wrong. Allah's law is the best, works for every time and every place. So saying that somebody's law or man-made is better than Allah's law, then that takes a person out of Islam. That's number 4. Number 5, who just said it, calling a Muslim a kafir. If you call a Muslim a kafir, then, and he is not a kafir, then you become a kafir. So that's number 5. So we are studying these rules and we apply all these 6 rules. There is still one more. And you see that this person, he may be a bad person, maybe he did terrible things, but none of these apply to that person. And then you still call him kafir, then you become a kafir. So takfir, making someone who's not a kafir into a kafir, will make that person who called him a kafir the real kafir. So that's number 5. Number 6, and this is very important, number 6, playing with the halal and haram, changing the rules. Give you an example. Somebody drinks alcohol. Muslim drinks alcohol. Is he a kafir?
No.
He's not a kafir unless he says alcohol is halal. Now you are defying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like Iblis did. So disobeying Allah does not take you out of Islam, but challenging Allah's rule does. So saying someone, for example, He's doing something haram, major sin, that does not take him out of Islam. But saying this is halal, or saying, for example, pork is halal, I heard this before, because in the past they used not to clean it very well, and now they clean it better, and now at our time it became halal. That's ridiculous. That takes the person out of Islam. You cannot turn, and by the way, not only turning the haram into halal, but the other way around too. You turn the halal into haram. That is, you cannot change the rules. You cannot play with the, you can say beef is haram, for example. No, it's not. You cannot change that rule. If you say, I don't want to eat it, I am vegetarian, it's fine. But do not make it haram. Or don't slaughter the cow. You're changing the rules of Allah. So changing the rules from halal to haram or haram to halal. So these are the 6 things. Whoever does them is out of Islam. And that person needs to take shahada again and need to be taught that do not say these things, because if you die without taking shahada again, you die as a non-Muslim. And if Muslims hear that person saying these things or doing these things, we don't pray janazah for them even.